All right. Hi, everybody. This is Brooke. So for the creative storytelling assignment, I decided to choose The Napping House. I haven't used PowerPoint in a long time. I was kind of playing around with it, and I could not figure out how to get it full screen. It's been a really long time. I don't know if I do this. No. Oh, okay. Hopefully you guys can see all this. Um, so like I said, I chose The Napping House. A little bit about this book is, if you haven't read it, it's about this really dreary, rainy day, and there's this dark looking house, and there's a cozy bed with a grandma sleeping in it, and then the child comes and joins the grandma with taking a nap, and then a dog, cat, and a mouse all come in, and then a flea ends up coming in, and it ends up biting the mouse, and the mouse kind of does something to the cat, and the cat scratches the dog, so it wakes everybody up. And in the end, nobody is sleeping, and the house ends up, the rain stops, the house ends up being more bright looking in the end. It's a great book that kind of grabs my students' attention. They really like this book. It assists with teaching so many different areas of development, cognitive development, literacy, mathematics skills, because it does talk a little bit about some sequencing, and there's repetition in text to help children learn some components of literacy, cause and effect, patterns in literature, and it kind of has a little bit of like rhyming phrases. You can also talk about positioning words such as on top, inside, under, because during the book, the child is sleeping on the granny, or it mentions some other positional words. You can also discuss comparing sizes of the characters that lay on top of one another, like which is the largest, which is the smallest. You can ask so many different questions in regards to this book. It's really, really great. And it also talks about alliteration, and it talks about a dozing dog, a slumbering mouse, and different things that, like with dozing dog, it has the same letters in dozing and dog, so it can really help teach a variety of different things. As far as the props go, I read this many times, so I'll use different props different times I read it. The first I don't know if you can see my mouse here. We have these lakeshore learning dollhouses in our classroom, as well as some furniture and some people. We have a lot of elderly and young people, so I'll pull out a grandma and a child, and we do have some pets, so I'll grab, when I read the story, the dog, the mouse, the cat, and I'll grab our bed that we have out of our wooden furniture down here, and I'll kind of set them up inside the playhouse and tell the story without using the book, because at this point I have it pretty memorized, and after reading it once you can kind of memorize it yourself. But I'll use the different characters and pile them all on the bed, and all the times the children end up laughing because they all can't fit on the bed. They all end up falling off, but they think it's funny, so that helps capture their attention too. Another way that I'll tell the story is by using these characters. These are also great if you want to later use them for sequencing, kind of as like an activity that children can go to during free choice. And I'll use them on a felt board sometimes. I have a felt board at school, but it is part of a furniture, so I couldn't bring it home. So I'm just using this piece of cardboard right here, kind of acting as a felt board. So you can use a felt board, and then this coffee jug right here, I use a lot of times with props for stories. I'll keep them in these jars, and you can use the jar to kind of capture the children's attention. You shake it a little bit, and they hear a noise, and they are kind of like, ooh, what's in there? And you can even keep like little stuffed animals in there to help introduce the story. I'll use puppets a lot to capture their attention and tell them, I'll have it whisper in my ear and say, they're going to help us read a story today. But I'll use it, and as I tell the story, I will, get out the bed, the granny, the child, and stack them all on. And this is great because you can later use this as comparing sizes, and also, like I said, with sequencing. The children can recall the story and move the pieces how they think that they should go. The next prop I have that I will also use to retell the story are these pictures. And there are words on the bottom, so if you are not the best at memorizing stories, you can kind of get an idea of a little short synopsis of each page on each picture. I'll use them with a felt board and stick them up, and it's just a different way to get different pictures besides what is already in the book. And the children can also have their own copy of these and color them in. And I have one student that actually is beginning to draw his own pictures. He's very, very smart and intelligent, and he draws these exquisite pictures. So he will look at one of these pictures, like the house, and he will try and draw the clouds and the house and the bed all in one picture to create his own book. This is a good small group idea if you're working on print concepts, making books, talking about, the way text flows. And I also have some additional ideas to extend your students' understanding with this book and what they learned. Like I said, if I go back here, you can use these for sequencing books and use these to sequence the characters in the book. You can also use the characters in the dollhouse, not only to tell the story, but later on, the next day and for the rest of the week. As long as the children stay interested in it, keep them in a special little basket in your dollhouse area or dramatic play, wherever you keep your dollhouse. And a lot of times you might be able to see your students starting to retell the story. I've seen that in my classroom. And like I said, alliteration, you can talk about like the dozing dog and help students remember that some words can start the same way. And you can also talk about weather. A lot of times I'll go back to the pictures in the book and mention that, at the beginning, when everyone's napping, it's dark, it's raining, but then in the end, it's sunny, the rain stops, and everyone's awake, and kind of relate that back to, a lot of times in real life, we'll nap when it's raining, or we're awake when it's sunny out and it's daylight, and different things like that. So that is what I have. I have some references. I just got the synopsis from Target's website when they were selling the book. So that is how I read The Napping House by Audrey Wood, and besides just by holding up the book and reading the story. So those are some different ways that my students really enjoy, and I hope that you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you.